Hey everyone, Spicy Toast Gaming here, and it's time for this week's weekly adventures. Before we get into it though, just want to say that tomorrow is when I'm planning on putting out a updated tier list, going over any changes to the tier list I made about 2 months ago. We did have a very large balance patch with a lot of relics getting nerfed, as well as a new champion, so that should be coming out tomorrow. Tonight will be Elise testing out the new epic relic that I got. Alright, on to the weekly adventures. We have a 1.5, a 2, and a 4-star adventure. For the 1.5, we have duplication glitch when any player summons a unit that is already in play, granted 1/1. Now that summons is important. In Legends of Runeterra, there's play effects and there's summon effects. For play effects, they only trigger when you manually play the card from your hand. If you're summoning another copy of it through like Twin Shadows or through some other effect, it won't count. So the fact that this is summoned is very, very good. Some champions that will be good for this: Elise, you're summoning Spiderlings. Kindred, you're summoning your prey every single round. I don't believe this is actually going to work for Alawi, since your spawn is just buffing up your same tentacle over and over again. Important to note that this is if the unit is already in play, so the other unit actually has to be on the board. If you're just summoning the same card over and over again, but the other unit's not on the board, like one of the ephemeral units you can summon through like Gwen or Misfortune, they're not going to be benefiting from this effect. The unit actually has to be on the board. So the main two you want to shoot for would be Elise and Kindred. You can also do some shenanigans with this with Nico. Nico, if you use the Grand General's counter plan and then you disguise her, it's going to make a copy of the unit you're disguised as instead of her champion spell. So essentially every round you have a copy of the same card that you can just keep playing. So that's another way to cheese this if you want to go down that route. Also note that this is going to affect the enemy, so if there's someone that is able to summon a lot of the same unit, you want to try to take that unit off the board so they can't scale up from this as well. Alright, next for the 2-star, round end, kill all units except each player's strongest. And then the monkey munitions, when the foe attacks, they summon a flame chompers, challenging the player's strongest unit. So this is actually going to be pretty tough. What you're going to want to do is focus on a champion that is very strong, and that can be your strongest unit, and you might want to run Corrupted Star Fragment so that they can kill whatever other units you summon and buff themselves up. So some strong champions like Jax or Diana will be great for this. And then if possible, you want to keep the enemy from being able to attack, either using any sort of stuns or removal if at all possible. And you're going to want to try to end the game as quick as possible, so don't go for any slower decks, as this should counter you pretty hard. So yeah, Jax or Diana, probably your best bet here. Neela would also be decent, and again, you might want to consider using Corrupted Star Fragment to further buff up your own units, since you know your other units are going to die anyways. Last up then, for the 4-star, we have small stuff. When the player summons a unit, set it to 1/1. Then we have fan favorite, round start, give the foe's strongest unit 2 power and overwhelm this round. Then the vicious enemy that is always there. This will be pretty tough because with having enemies that have overwhelm, you normally want to have big blockers, but you're getting countered with that with the small stuff. Couple different ways to approach this. For one, you can go with decks that are great with some passive scaling and potentially also have removal or CC. So a deck like Leona might actually not be bad because you're pretty good, if you ever at 3 stars at least, at buffing up your whole board, because every time you're triggering a Daybreak effect, you're buffing up your board. Bard can also be decent once he gets going, but your early game will be quite rough. But you could also go for some decks that are very focused on spells and skills, such as Jhin or Annie, and then you'll have tons of CC and removal to take out the enemy's strongest units. Janna would also be decent here, as she's able to passively buff up her board as she's playing cost reduced cards, and then she also has a lot of removal and burn damage to try to take out enemy units. Nami would also be very solid, since she just got a buff that she increases units' health in addition to power. I do think this will be a pretty tough adventure, but I think it should be quite fun. Alright, that's it for these weeklies. They do seem quite interesting and like they'll be fairly fun, but also quite challenging. Normally they're either too hard and they're just annoying, or they're fun and very easy. I feel like this week is actually a decent balance of both. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of these weeklies, or if there's some powerful combination you've figured out. And then again, tonight a Elise video is coming out testing out the epic relic that I have. And then tomorrow is when I'm shooting to get that updated tier list out for you all. Alright, I hope you all have a great day and a great week.